Hello and welcome to Global Affairs TV and podcast. And as you can see today, we have the battle of the sexes. Today, our topic is abortion, pro-life or pro-choice. Abortion, as defined by Harvard Health Publishing, is the deliberate and intentional termination of a pregnancy after its conception. It allows women to end their pregnancies and involves removing the undeveloped embryo or fetus. I want us here today to analyze this concept from three different perspectives: from a health and safety perspective, from a legality perspective, and lastly, from a morality perspective. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Michael Bilica. I am a freshman at University of Bridgeport. My major is international diplomacy. They call it iPad here. My stance on this topic is I am undecided, but leaning more towards pro-choice. The thing is that I do not think I know enough about this topic to really be confident to give a definitive opinion. So I would like to hear from from everyone else around the room to see their arguments about it so that I can make my own argument and not sound ignorant. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Darren. I'm happy to be here once again. I'm also an iPad major and a junior here. I will be the pro-life argument for this topic, and I think that my personal experience will bring a unique perspective. My upbringing, I was part of a Catholic school my entire life, so I get to use all of their knowledge and all of their experiences in my debate and to help other people learn about what Christians have to say on this issue.
Hello, my name is Prince. I'm pro-life.
Hello, my name is Pratiksha and I come from Nepal, and today I'm here representing as a woman Nepal stands, because even though abortion is legal in Nepal, women still face a lot of adversities, and that's where I will put in my point here.
Hi, my name is Gael. I'm a mass comm major. My stance is pro-choice. I believe that women have all authority to their body, and I really want to discuss the familial kind of pressures that prohibit women from actually having full ownership.
Hi, my name is Sharvani. I'm from India and I'm enrolled as a graduate student in Global Development and Peace. I have a political science background and I'm here to represent my pro-choice views on abortion.
Okay. Am I right in assuming that if you're on the stance of pro-life, you also are of the opinion that abortion shouldn't be made legal?
Depends with each case.
And am I right in also assuming that if you are pro-choice, you are of the opinion that abortion should be made legal?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a scenario in Paraguay where we have a 10-year-old girl, and she's living in a household that is traditional. She has a mother and a father, and her mother is religious. And one day she has stomach pains and she's taken to the hospital. And then it is found out that she's actually 21 weeks pregnant, and that actually she was raped by her biological uncle. So in this country, abortion is legal, but you have to go through strenuous processes and legal processes to actually get through that process. So in this case, it's a life-threatening issue. And she is a high-risk type of individual because she's also unable to physically give birth. So in this case, abortion is the only solution. I want to hear what our pro-life speakers have to say in case of this instance, which is actually 1 in a million. It's not just her case, but it's 1 in a million.
Okay. Quick answer. She can have the abortion. My problem with abortion is, okay, to keep it brief, I'm pro-life through most of it when they find out they're pregnant and they don't want it. But in regards to the health of the child, she can have the abortion. That's why I said it depends with each case. If it's detrimental to the health, then fine, have the abortion.
I mean, it's a pretty decisive issue because someone has to make the choice of who dies. Because if she can have the kid, then she would die because she's medically incapable, or the kid dies. And I think at that point, we're arguably playing God in a lot of sense, like who gets to choose and die. But if you take that notion away, I agree that it is definitely save the kid because the kid being who's pregnant, because it's pro-life. We want to promote life. As long as someone in the end comes out alive and okay and medically happy, then I think in the end that follows the same argument.
So I think we are on a consensus that if rape is an issue in any circumstance, then abortion can take place. Am I right in assuming that?
Every rape case?
Particularly one that is non-consensual.
That's every rape case, right? Because
Right,
it's not
of
consensual.
course, of
No.
course.
So
Not
So
every
all that
not
stands?
every rape case. I am pro abortion when the mother's health is at risk. Pro abortion. Every rape case, no.
So I'm curious. When you say every single rape case, do you mean there's a case? You are including cases where the woman may be raping the man?
Yep, that exists, that is a reality. But however, on the concept of abortion, it affects the female.
That's true.
Right.
Fair. I just
Also,
wanted a
I feel like-
clarification.
That's a dangerous thought to be like, you don't support every rape case, because it's like, what differentiates rape, you know? And like, when you say in the decision of whether we save the child or we save the fetus growing inside the child, we're playing God. I also feel like that is also a dangerous mindset to think, because we can like talk about religion, but like let's try to keep this within like human responsibility, human choices that we make.
Can I answer?
He handed his up.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw Prince.
You did?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Prince, you can go.
Prince.
In regards, I've heard this case before. I'm a go-to guy when it comes to controversial topics, and the Bible. I'm not so sure where the verse is, but I've heard that the Bible would support abortion in this case to save the mother's life. The Bible would support it.
To the point of playing God, I'll leave that part out. We'll talk more on our ability to choose who dies and who lives. That choice is still there, regardless of whether you want to say it's God, which is why I said it. But to the point of every rape case, I think it's more in terms of it being that for guys, it's very understood that we have a consensus, majority misunderstanding of what that means, which I think is what he might have been alluding to, because I've seen documentaries and saw how guys reacted to them figuring out that they sexually assaulted someone, to raping someone. And that part is more of the issue I think he was trying to explain. That doesn't explain, because every rape case means every single rape. Guys misunderstanding that wouldn't be part of that constituent.
But what if it is legally or institutionally a rape case? Do you still think that abortion shouldn't be performed on that person?
At what stage?
At
What stage are they in the pregnancy? Because
any
assuming,
stage.
right, most rape pregnancies that happen due to rape, that's 3 to 5%, right? According to data taken in 2015. So that's 3 to 5%. So that's a small number. But yeah, let's look at the small number. I don't know the full details, but let's say you get raped today. You have, I think, 8 weeks. That's when the baby develops a brain and you're getting a heartbeat. You have 8 weeks, to bring yourself together and say, let me go get myself checked for STDs, blah, 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 blah. You get yourself checked. They tell you you might be pregnant. They give you the pill, which is a much safer way, I would assume. And yeah, it's done.
You're saying that pills should be taken by women to abort the child?
What else are you gonna do?
Okay.
But then pills, if we have like serial medical, let's say research on pills, taking pills for abortion, it affects the health of the women. And that's bad in the long run, because she might have miscarriage when she actually wants to have a child. So
Okay.
So then as the opposite, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're promoting the fact that you should have the kid because you were raped, though. If it's a problem of the pill being an issue, then obviously we should be smart as humans to figure out other scientific methods and ways to allow women to make that same choice.
I will wrap the conversation here and bring a question to the plate, if you will allow. So let's say you hypothetically
Oh, sorry.
Hypothetically, that you are a parent and you have a teenage daughter, whether you're a father or a mother, and she comes home one day pregnant. She does not want to have the child. How would your response be as a hypothetical parent? Anyone?
I think pro-life or pro-choice.
You had your hand raised first.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to her about it, but if she wants to have the child, I'm going to support her. But if she does not want to have the child, I'm going to get her aborted with her. Like, I'm going to give her the permission.
So, this brings up a topic that a lot of people talk about when it comes to pro-choice, which is something interesting. It comes to the idea that it is my body as a woman, so I will do whatever I want. Now, in this specific, well, maybe not for this case. For this case, if my daughter would come home and she were pregnant in this instance, and I would find out, I would definitely do the same as you would. I would definitely say that I would definitely support her, and no matter what she wants, it just depends on if she wants it or not.
I have a point to add. We're talking about like being parents. We are like will do pro-choice so that the child, the teenager that we have who's pregnant, is able to make an informed decision, and we're supporting them. But what happens in a situation like from where I come from in Nepal, mostly in the remote areas, the women don't have they have restricted mobility, and they're not able to make informed decisions. Either the husband or the family makes decisions for them, and they have actually have no say on anything, either to go to school and the basic necessity. And to get abortion, that's comes into a taboo situation in the society, because Nepal is very socially traditional rooted bound, and when it comes to that, it's more of societal prestige and how the family stands in the society. And if the society or the neighborhood finds out that the teenager girl is pregnant, it's going to affect.
Right. Yeah.
To answer your question, I guess I'm gonna be a grandfather, right?
A father, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a grandfather because
Right,
I'm not
right.
gonna allow her to have an abortion. You made your bed, now lay in it. And then to answer your question, that's a tricky one. But again, I think the answer I gave August kind of answers it. You made your bed, you slept with someone, unprotected sex, and you're gonna have to own up to your choices.
Okay. I'm gonna want Gael to rebuttal.
So I feel like another dangerous point is to assume that everyone has the access and knowledge of what safe sex is and the precautions that you have. Not everyone has access to that knowledge, right? That's why, especially in underdeveloped countries, the population that are having children is quite young compared to industrialized countries, for one matter.
I want Michael. Yep.
Sure. Pakistan,
India.
British.
Oh.
Sorry, I heard a P. Anyway, so like you said earlier, it was interesting how you said that, because that's actually something I was alluding to the idea of choice. So so in your country, a woman cannot exactly choose in terms of abortion. She has very limited mobility. It's up to the father or the family.
Husband or the family.
Right. So I'm not sure how other countries do this, but back in the U.S., there is a very big argument for pro-choice, which is the idea that it is a woman's body, which means it is my choice to do that. So a hypothetical would be say it is a woman and a man. There's no rape involved or anything, and a child is going to be born, right? Mm-hmm. The woman does not want to have the child, but the man does. In this instance, in terms of by that logic, that would mean that the woman would always get the abortion because it's the woman's choice. When really, in that situation, it's both of their responsibility. So both of them should have the equal amount of choice. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, they should have a conversation about it. If, but then majoritarily, I believe that if a woman is carrying a baby, a fetus, or a life in her, I think it should be prominently her choice what to do with her body. And coming back to your question as well, I wanted to ask you, like, if I am a granddaughter, if I am your granddaughter, hypothetically, why can't I have choice over my body?
Okay.
I will allow this conversation to continue on the podcast. I have another question to ask everyone here. Do you believe that life begins at conception? Yes or no, and reason? Yes.
So then, this is definitely a very interesting question. So one thing that I thought when I was thinking about a fetus being considered a person from conception is the idea of what exactly a fetus would do to make it seem like it's a person. So, for example, a person thinks, a person dreams, a person, thinks, like, has the idea of self. It's something that's very big about it. And a fetus does actually think. A fetus does actually a fetus does think, and it does dream in like some stages. Depends on the stage. The thing is, though, is that you could, if that were the case, then you could also argue that a dog or a chicken is as a person as well, because they also think and dream
Right.
just as much.
Right.
The thing is that a fetus just doesn't have as many of the person characteristics that many do. So
Darren.
I find that interesting because it raised a lot of philosophical questions just
Right.
inherently.
Right.
Personally, I think I just, as a person, don't have enough information to conclude that. But from a theological explanation, it would be conception. To not so much rebuttal, but so much as to continue that conversation. That philosophical argument, first off, takes away from the abortion topic that we were discussing, but also it's really, really difficult to say this thing's human and this thing's not human, which is exactly what you're talking about. But to apply that to a baby or to a fetus and to cells is just even harder, because the things that make humans, we're looking at it from an adult, and then we look at it from kids. It's very difficult to watch and see what fetuses do, and watch and see what cells do in the body. And so that part,
Right. So what you're saying is that there are a lot of variables, and your answer wouldn't be a yes or a no. It would be consider all the factors, and we'll see, engage at that.
no, I was disagreeing because I'm disagreeing with the sense of philosophy, because there's so much we can't know
Right.
based on that, and you just can't say, oh, they're similar because, we dream and they dream. Well, dream and dream doesn't necessarily mean life.
If that is your basis, then how do you have a conclusion when you know that your central basis of knowledge on whether life begins at conception, whether the woman has a right over her body or not, if you don't have that surface covered up, how do you have a conclusion?
Well-
But anyway, go on. Yeah.
We'll continue a little bit
Yeah.
later.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right.
Yeah. Life begins at conception, right? It's like a number line.
Right.
0 is conception. 99, 60, 70, that's the age you die.
Sure.
Towards conception that we're talking about, we're forgetting one of the most important points. We're talking about fetus, but we're not talking about the embryo. Embryo is the cell which develops when the conception happens. And scientifically, the heartbeat does not start until 6 weeks, or that also starts like in rare cases. So I believe that conception, the life does not start with conception. I believe that it takes at least like 12 weeks
Right.
for it to call it a life.
Okay. Yes.
So I want to add on to Sharvani's point. I don't believe that life starts at conception, because prior to that, there are a lot of factors affecting the conception. And adding to my point previously, I want to add like the pro-life. They said like if in consent they're having the baby, what you want to abort, that's different case. But what happens if, like, I want to give a scenario.
Mhm.
What happens in Nepal? It's like the remote areas. They have to travel. They have to travel. They have to travel long distance.
Right.
And in doing so, while traveling, they get raped. Women get raped, and they don't want the baby.
Right.
And what happens to that situation?
I believe we haven't gotten a basis on life in the pro-life panel today. I want to hear the reasoning. Yeah. Yeah.
The reason, and this is a fact, life begins at conception is because if you say life begins when the brain develops, when the heart beats, when the blah blah blah, that is not independent of itself. You can't get to that stage without going through conception. So it has to start where it's dependent on itself, which is conception. And sorry, I just wanted to answer that.
Yes.
In a sense, what Sharvini is trying to say is that beyond the embryo forming, the characteristics of life are made later on. It doesn't start at conception. Like for life to be like, it has to be sustainable, it has to change, it has to
It has to feel the environment.
Right.
yes, it has to respond.
Respond
as
to
well.
the.
A quick
So-
rebuttal, just a quick rebuttal.
All right, we are running out of time, but in conclusion, I want us to remember that before we have an opinion on anything, it has to pass the test of logic, it has to pass the test of reason, it has to pass the test of experience. If we do not consider all the variables first, then perhaps we should reconsider our opinions. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next time, same place, on YouTube, on SoundCloud. Thank you so much.